I'm Emily from SexWithEmily.com. Crazy Girl Products carries unique pheromone-infused products that scientifically make you hotter and feel more confident. I love their new After Dark line, especially their Lip Nip Tingle. To find out what that means, go to crazygirlproducts.com, use coupon code Emily25 and get 25% off your purchase when you buy something at crazygirlproducts.com.
Look into his eyes. They're the eyes of a man obsessed by sex. Eyes that mock our sacred institutions. Bedroom eyes, they call them in a bygone day.
Hey, Emily, you got a boyfriend? Because my man E here, he just got his heart broken. He thinks you're kind of cute.
A girl's got to have her standards. Oh, my.
Do women know about shrinkage?
Isn't it common knowledge?
What do you mean, like laundry? It shrinks?
Can we not talk about sex so much?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God, it feels so good.
Being bad feels pretty good. But you know, Emily's not the kind of girl you just play with.
You're listening to Sex with Emily. We're talking about sex, relationships, and everything in between. For more information, go to sexwithemily.com where you can check out all of our podcasts, our blog posts, everything, videos that will improve your sex life and your relationship. So what are you waiting for? Also, sign up for my mailing list. You will receive the 5 biggest mistakes you're making in bed. You're probably thinking you don't make any mistakes. I'll tell you, you're probably wrong there. I mean, you are wrong, actually. And we have one for men and one for women. So sign up for that and also subscribe on iTunes to our podcast. We have 2 podcasts a week. They come out on Tuesdays and Fridays. If we're on top of it, that's usually when they come out. And everyone, thank you so much. Our numbers have been so great. Are you telling your friends? What are you doing? Standing out there with billboards? I can't believe how many people are listening to the show. And I love hearing from everybody. I read all your emails that you sent to feedback@sexwithemily.com and try to answer all your questions when I can, and eventually they will all be answered. And sometimes you got to listen to the show and check out the website because I will be answering them. Also, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Sex with Emily, like my page on Facebook, Sex with Emily, and Instagram, Sex with Emily. It's Sex with Emily across the board. So check it out. So I'm really excited for today's show because my guest is the America's Pleasure Coast. America's Pleasure Coast. What's my problem? Oh, I wrote couch, actually. But it's America's Pleasure Coach, Dr. Sadie Allison.
Hello there.
Hi, Sadie. It's so good to see you.
It is.
Sadie was on my show, so I just moved to LA from San Francisco, but Sadie's in San Francisco, and she was on my live radio show in 2007, I think.
2001
when I was on free.
1 or 2 was the first time.
No, I wish. I haven't been doing it that long. 2007.
It was Tickle Your Fancy when that book came out. I did your show.
I know, 2007. I was on Free FM in San Francisco, CBS Radio. I did not.
So,
I wasn't. I was actually working in politics in 2001.
Well,
so it would have been right if I talked about sex during that time.
Okay.
But it was 2007, and we loved it. And everyone's like, do you know Sadie Allison? Because we kind of were moving in the same circles, and we became friends. We even went to a sex party once. We don't have to get into that. Do you remember that? Oh, sorry. We were just observing. Here. Oh, her hot boyfriend. She just came in with like a hot boyfriend too. I mean, I wish we could like leave here. If I wasn't doing Loveline after, we'd have like drinks and catch up, which we have to do anyway. But Sadie, if you don't know Sadie, which you should, you can check out her website, which is ticklekitty.com. And she's written some groundbreaking books. They're all bestsellers. Not just because the names are awesome, but it also has incredible information. So Tickle is Pickle. That was your first one, right? Or no, that was just...
That was my third.
Oh, okay.
My third child.
Your third child, exactly. It is like giving birth.
They are. It is like giving birth, totally. These are my 5 kids, and then I have another real kid.
Exactly.
And now another kid.
Another kid. Oh, the boyfriend's like a kid. Do we want to talk about that? No, not right now. Okay, so Tickle is Pickle, Ride 'em Cowgirl, Tickle Your Fancy, Tickle My Tush, and Toygasms. So if there's anything sexually you want to know, read them. And they're great because the illustrations are great. They're easy. You pick them up. You don't have to read them for 10 years. You can like read them in a day and improve your sex life.
That's right. And I put a lot of illustrations because it's really helpful to have visuals when you're learning techniques because all the books are focused on how-to techniques.
Exactly.
So I don't get into the psychology of things so much in other areas. This is like if you're ready to have good sex and you're with someone that you want to please or be pleased and you want to know how to do new things, these are the books for you.
Exactly. And so they're great. And I remember I always give my new interns Tickle's Pickle.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I was like, here,
Lovely.
welcome to being sexual. Here's Tickle's Pickle. Yeah, I love it. Everyone
great
loves
introductory.
It is. I'm like, I know y'all, because they're all like 22, 23. They're like, oh, how do I give a blowjob? But lately, a lot of them haven't had orgasms, which is interesting. My new interns. So that's been interesting. But if you want to buy these books, you can go to sexwithemily.com/goodvibes and use coupon code Emily for 20% off to buy any of your books, which they sell them there. Okay, and also you did a very interesting TED Talk recently, which is impressive. I love TED Talks, obsessed with them. Fearless Giving, Turning Sexual Passion into Action.
That's right.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, gosh, it was one of the most amazing experiences I've had in my life and in my professional career. And mostly because it really pushed me outside my comfort zone. Because while I've done a lot of speaking, I haven't memorized a speech the way I did this one. And it took a lot of guts to go into some of the things I spoke of where I went deep. And I shared some personal things about my life and my upbringing. So I really wanted to make the best of it and give the best information and speech that I could that would actually help others and could hopefully change lives.
Right.
And that's why I shared such personal things. And so...
Well, I think it helps because we all have such personal things. And it makes me realize like, we don't have to... That shapes us into who we are when we all go through those struggles,
exactly.
right?
It's okay to talk about it. And then that helps you. And we all have fear. And when I started out as a sex educator... I wasn't even trying to be. I was in high school, and I used to tell all my girlfriends how to have orgasms, and I became the little Dr. Ruth of my friends. And I had done that all through college after that, and into the corporate world. I always had a knack for helping people, and so was my passion. And I decided one day I wanted to write a pamphlet on how to masturbate, and I was going to go and give it away for fun and help more women. And so that idea to want to give away a free pamphlet and the little project I made of it evolved into an actual book.
Right.
Which
and that
I
was which book? This was
Tickle Your Fancy.
Tickle Your Fancy, which is another... Oh, that also we gave to our interns who are trying to have orgasms right now. It's a great book for helping women have orgasms.
Especially those who are just kind of discovering their bodies, or maybe they're inhibited, a little shy, they don't know how. Because, it's very different. For a man, his tools are on the outside, the wind blows, he's ready to go. It's easy and it's intuitive to masturbate. For women, we're very complex. I mean, our organs go inward. The vulva has all these different parts and components, and you have to warm up, and it's very different. So this book not only tells you how to do it and gives you the tips and techniques, but it lets you know that it's okay to touch yourself.
Exactly.
So it's an empowerment guide to let women know it's okay to do this, and here's how, and do it at your own pace and in your own private home. And
right. And I loved it in your TED Talk. You were saying that you had some funny about your friends who said, your best friend after all these years said, you know what, Sadie, I've been married for 7 years. I've never had an orgasm.
Shocked the hell out of me.
And you're probably like apoplectic. You're like, how is my best friend not had one?
I was like, and you never told me, and I could have helped you.
Right. So tell me from that book, because I would say that is one of the top questions I get asked is, how do I have an orgasm? I can't have it during intercourse. Men are curious about how their partner can. Mm-hmm. So the takeaway, because we have so much to cover today, but what would you say is like the main themes of that book that could really help people right now?
Well, the first thing to know is that when you have intercourse with a man, most of the time, or 80% of women don't have orgasms. And it's because our clitoris is where all the nerve endings are, and that's what needs to be touched and stimulated to have an orgasm. And when you're having intercourse with a man, it's usually not being touched.
Right.
Certain positions can assist that, but that's the bottom line. So you have to know that you can't wait around for a man to figure it out either.
Right.
You need to learn how to do it yourself, because how is some guy supposed to figure it out if you haven't even figured it out?
Exactly.
And he can't even feel what you're feeling when he's touching you.
Right.
So once you know, not only will you feel empowered and have a newfound confidence and you'll know how to do it, you can then help him and guide him.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
right.
that's the biggest thing.
I think a lot of us were raised, if I have sex, then I'll start having orgasms because he'll know. I remember Carol Queen said to me, she was on my show, and I've used this quote many times, but she thinks so many women say, someday my prince will come, and so will I.
Oh.
He's going to ride in on a white horse, and then I'm going to have, wild screaming orgasms. Doesn't work that way.
Nope.
Know your own body and take time. And so, like in your speech, you said, my friend went home that night and had one, but that doesn't always happen. I mean, sometimes it could take weeks, months. You got to figure out what it is for you.
Well, you have to understand how the body works and understand that usually you'll need a little bit of lubricant. You can use saliva, but lubricant's always good, especially if you're just starting. You may as well make it as easy as possible. And understand the clitoris and different ways to touch yourself. Because a lot of women really don't know. They think that it's all about penetration or using your fingers inside.
Right.
It's the clitoris. So when you read an easy guide, and that's why Tickle Your Fancy is really straightforward and accessible. I don't use a lot of...
Oh, your lubricant, your new lubricant here.
Tickle Your Fancy, the book.
Okay.
It's easy to follow and go, oh, I get it. And then once you have the right tools and the right knowledge, then you can actually achieve it.
Right.
It's understanding, the ABCs of it before you get started.
Right. And I think lubricant is so key. I think there's so much stigma, which is why I created a lubricant. Also, Emily and Tony line is that I think that there's such a stigma attached to lube that it's because she's dry or there's discomfort. But it actually, so many women report that sex is actually better with lube, even if you're wet.
Yep.
You need to add a little lube in. So these are beautiful new lubricants that you've designed.
This is my new Slippery Kitty lubricants. They're water-based, and they come in au naturel, which is just plain, and then strawberry flavored, which is lickable.
Ooh, lickable.
Really nice. And it's not too overbearing or too sugary.
Love. All right. They can get this all at ticklekitty.com.
And what I did with these this time is I've had these for about 11 years. They've done really well. There's a great following because they're smooth. The texture is like a woman's natural fluids. See, if you can see inside, it's not too thick.
Right.
So for people who prefer something that feels like the real thing, that's what they mimic. And what I did was I took out parabens and glycerin so that they're body safe for women.
Right. Because so many lubes are not.
They aren't. And that's why it's really good to read the labels and know. And women today are much more body conscious. Like, we're savvy. We know. We want to know what's in it. We want to know what's in our food. So I took those out so it would be safer for women's bodies and women who are prone to yeast infections and things like that. Right. This is safe for that.
That's good to know. And also, I just need to mention as a little teaser upcoming that we're kind of building up here, sort of like the sex act. We're talking about masturbation, but her latest book is called Tickle My Tush, and it's about anal sex, which is another one of the top questions that we get asked around here. I get asked about, anal sex has become, and I think it's probably been for about, maybe it's since I started 8 to 10 years, it seems like that's been the, I don't know if it's because of porn or whatever, but we're going to get into that because she's a whole book about it, and we're going to get into anal sex in a little bit. Because if you thought you were going to leave right now and go make a sandwich, you're going to want to get into attention. So, okay, so in Tickle His Pickle. Can we just start there for a second? Because I love it. You say there's a fine line between erotic and psychotic when you're playing with his balls. So what is this line? I feel like women are afraid they're going to hurt them. I have post-traumatic ball disorder. I used to.
Oh my gosh!
I had a bad experience years ago. I'm over it. But I touched a guy's balls wrong, too hard, and for years I stayed away from the balls. Oh. But so I understand. I know it's okay. I've come back around. I was like, oh
the
yeah,
balls
he's
missed
got
you,
balls.
Emily.
I know, and they're important. So what did you mean by that? Well, how do you play with them erotically and not psychotically?
Well, don't do what you did, whatever that was. And
I don't know what I did.
Touch my hand like it's a ball and show me what you did.
Okay, what I did then?
Yeah.
No, I don't know I don't remember, but this is what I know you do now. But then I probably I don't know what I did.
You probably honked it.
Ripped his balls off, never got a call again.
Well, the trick is with men's balls is that you want to be gentle and start really on the gentle side because some men do like it hard or rough or tugging or gentle biting.
They're all different.
They're all different. So you don't know, and they are the family jewels, and they're very, very delicate. So you want to play it safe, start slow and really soft, and communicate. Do you want me to do that harder? Should I pull a little bit more? Do you like it when I roll them in my hands like 2 hard-boiled eggs?
Right. That's kind of how I learned. Because I asked a guy once, and I like the tip that you gave. You said have him squeeze your breast with the same pressure he'd like to apply. Or apply to his balls. So
it's another
like
way. Yeah, it's easy.
Exactly.
It's just communicating.
Exactly.
Ask him what he likes, and men like that. They not only do they want a confident woman that knows what she likes, but if you show interest and say, "Honey, how do you want it?" or "Show me," let me watch you do it.
Exactly.
They love that shit.
Right. I love mutual masturbation too. It's a great tip.
That's erotic.
And I also I have to give you some. I created a Down Under Comfort with Anthony Logistics for Men, and it's a cream for your balls that works to keep them fresh and dry all day. It's like a deodorant for your ball area. So you're always ready for a blowjob anytime. You don't have to worry about it.
What about
it's called Down Under Comfort? EmilyandTony.com. Check it out.
That sounds great.
Emily. Not to be too ad heavy here. I hate when I do this. Yeah?
So what about the hair?
Okay,
let's talk using your Down Under.
Oh yeah,
deodorant.
Absolutely. You can rub it right in. It's a cream to a powder, so a lot of men use talcum powder down there, which is actually carcinogenic, and it's not good for you to keep you fresh. So this is all vegan, and it's a cream that stays localized and then it turns into a powder, and it just stays there all day.
Do you prefer that men that you're with are shaved and groomed?
Okay, that's so interesting because honestly, I don't really care. Like trim, that's fine, but I don't need you to shave the whole thing. Are you spending more time in the shower than I am?
If he's
ready?
untrimmed at all, does that bother you?
I'm not really uptight about it. Are you?
I wouldn't say uptight, but if a man is groomed, it's definitely nicer and smells better, and it's prettier, and it's much more attractive to actually give oral sex to.
Exactly.
As well.
It's easier, guys. I mean, you're going to have more oral sex if you do trim, but I guess it's just me personally, but I think a lot of women now expect that. When you say that the grooming trends, the hygiene trends over time have been that men are all trimming and grooming and all that.
They are now.
And especially women, right? Do you think the bush will ever come back, or you think women are always going to be barren down there?
I don't know. I think there are always going to be the variety of people and their preferences, and people change a lot too.
Absolutely.
You know, you can let it grow out, and just like your hair. But I think it's just it's much nicer, and I think people that haven't trimmed and groomed it all as couples should actually try it, because just that in itself can be erotic and make
do
for
it
a whole new
together.
fun.
Take a shower together.
Yep.
Do a little trimming, a little grooming. I think that's a great idea.
Nice, and it makes the penis look 10% bigger, which is
That's
awesome.
That's why every
that
guy I
in
know
itself
does
is
it.
a
They're
reason
like,
for
my
guys to do
penis,
it.
exactly. But they're like, my penis looks so much bigger. It's amazing. So if that's not reason enough, because I know you guys are obsessed with your penis. Okay, what about the taint? The taint is slang for perineum, the flat stretch of skin between the testicles and the anus. And as you say in your book, it's rich in nerve endings.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you can feel the root or the bulb of the penis. So how
right.
would you advise people to pleasure the taint?
Really
Without
easy.
freaking them out, too, because he might never have had his tainted. Pleasured.
It's the same spot
touched.
on the women too, by the way.
Right, exactly.
It's that little strip of skin between both of the holes on
Right.
the women. Well, it's really easy. It's just a little spot, and you just put pressure on it mostly. It's not a lot of friction rubbing like the clitoris would be.
Right.
It's more pressure. So sometimes you can have a gentle fist and just push up against it while you're giving him oral sex, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels really good because it's pushing up on the base of the penis that's on the inside, because the penis actually extends into the body the same way the clitoris
Yes.
does. And it also can put pressure up against the prostate because it's right underneath where the prostate is.
Right.
So if you're giving oral sex and you're using one hand on his penis and giving oral, and you take either your fingertips or a gentle knuckle with the other hand and just push up gently on that spot, it just adds more sensation and stimulation to him. And now he feels like he's got a lot of stuff going on, and it just takes him to new heights.
Exactly. And I think it's a great gateway into... honey. Can he talk here, John? No, well, we might get to him in a minute, because you're sleeping with America's Pleasure Co., so I need to know all about that. But it's curious because you talk about the male prostate, which we will get into with your book in a little bit, Tickle My Tush, but it's kind of a gateway, right? If men are kind of not sure they want their tush tickled just yet, see how the taint feels, it's touching the prostate, they get pleasure from that. You think that
Sure.
might be a way to say, well, if that felt good,
Absolutely.
you might like a little playing with your anus.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then Kegels for men. I have an iPhone app called Kegel Camp, and it's for men and for women. And it's funny because people always think only women can do Kegels, but a lot of men, they can learn to have more control over their ejaculation, stronger orgasms.
Exactly.
So, do you want to talk about that?
Sure,
as well?
sure. And this is something that people don't realize, but when a man orgasms and his penis contracts, the pelvic muscle is the same thing that's squeezing just like it does in a woman's body.
Right.
So when you see his ejaculate come out and it comes out in squirts, it's because that muscle is squeezing involuntarily, and that's why it's squirting out. It's that muscle doing that. It's pushing it out, which is
Right.
really neat.
It's so funny because on my app, when I first launched this app, it was only 10 levels, and I thought, who's gonna? It's like my voice walking you through it. It's 5 minutes a day. It pops up on your phone every day. Like, it's time for Kegel Camp, and then you just do it. Because they always doctors always say, do your Kegels, and no one remembers. Like, a traffic light, but you're not going to remember. So my friend Jordan was over the other night. He's like, Emily, I knew that he's been doing this. When I first started, I was going to say I had 10 levels. And then I got all these emails from people, mostly men, who were like, why don't you I need more levels. I'm like, really? You got to 10? So then I have 20 levels now. And so he's been like obsessively, he and his girlfriend have like a Kegel Camp race, and he got to level 20. So I said, oh my, I don't know anyone who's got to level 20. He's like, yeah, you have to hold it for 17 minutes. It's really hard. Or you have to 17 minutes. But I said, well, how has it changed? Like, just tell me. He's like, well, I can crack walnuts now. But no, I said, but really, he said, well, first of all, I can last as long as I want. And he said his when he ejaculates, it like shoots across the room.
Yeah, you can make it go farther and
So I'm
stronger
like,
and
okay,
longer.
That's cool. So I'm like, I didn't even know that because I don't know anyone who got to level 20. Okay, what about dirty talk phrases that guys you think like to hear in bed? And what about women? Because you talk a lot about dirty talk and how to kind of get into that.
Yeah. It's not always so much about what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And the first thing is to talk really slowly and in a really sexy voice.
Right.
Right.
I got it like this.
Like,
talk about what you're going to do next, or what
Exactly.
you'd like to do, or how it feels.
It's like, why don't you lay down because I want to do something really special to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
like that.
That
see?
works. I know. People think it has to be a whole thing, and they have to sound like a porn star.
Emily and I are going to exit left here for a second.
Exactly.
We're having a moment.
Exactly. I'm going to go down. I'm going to show you exactly what I want to do. So yeah, dirty talk. I think it's just a great way to I think that a lot of people just are concerned that they're not doing it right. Just like everything in life, we worry.
Everything about sex, we have too much fear. And the thing about dirty talk or anything that you do, it's supposed to be fun. Just try it and go for it. And if you sound silly, then go ahead and laugh. And let your partner laugh too, because
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, is having fun.
And it's just like everything. It's like practice too. You practice it, you do it, you feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and there's so much great information available now. You can get all the ideas you need. And the other thing I would suggest is to rehearse it yourself in the mirror.
Look, exactly.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror and think about, what you like to do to them and how you're going to say it, or talk about how it feels in the moment. Like, baby, it feels so good with you inside me right now. Like, we're not saying you have to get super dirty or do anything, but just start with the talking.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that dirty.
Okay, and I also have to ask you about blowjobs because it's a very popular topic, as you can imagine. Because your book, I have a lot of times like gone into Tickle's Pickle, like when I'm writing something, or I'm like, okay, these are, you have like a million. Like, I love, the first time I read it, it was like 100 ways to give a hand job. Like, it's amazing. But like blowjobs.
Thank you.
So what do you think are like specific blowjob tips that women and men can use to give better oral sex? So not just blowjobs, I guess. Well, let's talk with blowjobs, women or men, if you're giving a guy a blowjob. But
well, first of all, you got to have lubrication of some sort. And when you're giving a blowjob, it's usually saliva. You can also use some flavored lubricant, like the strawberry slippery kitty. Yeah, this is great also because a lot of women who are a little timid to give blowjobs, or they say they don't like the smell or the taste, put a little bit of flavored strawberry slippery kitty on it, and then now you're licking up a strawberry penis.
Exactly.
It really helps.
Right. It's like a strawberry shortcake. Like, you don't even have to worry about it. You're like, it's not semen. It doesn't matter. It
Honey, I won't call your penis a strawberry shortcake.
To your face. She won't. Just to me.
But yeah, you need to have slippery slidey, just like for a woman when you're receiving, and that's a big reason why a lot of guys don't like blowjobs from certain women, because they don't know that there needs to be. Yeah,
because a lot of women don't know.
They don't realize it needs to be slippery slidey.
Right. Otherwise, it like hurts him because you're like dragging the skin up and down.
Yeah. So. And then the other thing is know that all the nerve endings on the man's penis is at the head, and that's where he gets all his sensation. So you might be giving a hand job or a blow job and not really focusing on where he finds all the pleasure. So you have to remember to focus on that and always use your hands. Your 10 digits are some of the best sex toys that we have. And a really great reason to use your hands. Not only does he like it because it just adds a lot more sensation, it helps you out and your mouth and your jaw, which it gets tired. There's a reason it's called a job.
Exactly.
Blow job.
Exactly.
So
not that we don't like the job. It's just a job.
We're doing it for the good of mankind.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you use your hand and then it relieves all the pressure that you think you have to do it all with your mouth, because our mouths cannot squeeze as hard as a hand, or even stay as squeezing him as like a vagina would. So you have to use your hands to give your mouth a break.
Exactly. Yeah. And I always say, be enthusiastic, be into it. He can tell if you're like down there looking at your watch and you're not so
totally.
psyched.
Yeah, guys would much rather have a woman who's into it and not that good than a woman who's good and can get him finished in 3 minutes.
Right.
They'd rather have someone that's just enjoying herself.
And just like how women feel about a guy. Like, if he doesn't seem that he's into it when he's performing oral sex, or he's, like, does it for 2 minutes, or like, really? Like, I didn't even know you were down there. Like, 2 minutes doesn't count.
Yeah. And then the other thing is you don't have to try and race to give him an orgasm. Just be in the moment and enjoy that you're pleasuring him, and pay attention to his reactions. Try different things. Turn your hand upside down and do the upside down sausage wrap. That's in Tickle His Pickle.
Tickle's Pickle. I love all the titles in that.
Yeah,
it's
so
amazing.
just enjoy yourself, and you don't have to do it till he finishes.
Right, exactly. And it's true. And you can also mix it up. You can give him a blowjob, and you can have sex, and you can go back to the penis. Like, it doesn't. Like, that's the thing about foreplay. Like, I'd almost love to banish the word foreplay and just have it all be under the umbrella of sex. Because you could do foreplay, sex, and you go to intercourse, you can go back to it.
Yep.
And I also just think foreplay should last
a
a very long time. I don't know if I'm going to put a ballot or a measure on the ballot or anything to banish foreplay, but it's just something I think.
We're going to do Survey Monkey now.
Exactly. Okay, so you also mentioned a golden technique to end blowjobs with. Can you describe this technique for the best blowjob finish?
Well, that could mean many things. Some guys like it when women swallow,
right?
But that again, it's up to the woman, and men shouldn't pressure anyone to swallow if they don't want to.
Exactly.
They just be happy someone's down there doing anything.
Exactly. Really, beggars can't be choosers.
So there's that. But just looking up at him with that acknowledgement of knowing that you satisfied him, and smiling, or if you did swallow, you can lick your lips or lick your lips anyway. I think just that human interaction and that eye contact, so that you're connected.
Right.
That's where you get deep, and that's what makes everything better than just the act and the physicality of it all.
Yeah, I agree. Like, eye contact is a big part of it. So okay, so that you can find all this in Tickle His Pickle and in Ride 'em Cowgirl. Did you want to talk about that as well?
Ride 'em Cowgirl is one of my best sellers as well.
Oh my God, I love this. Ride 'em Cowgirl, Sex Position Secrets for Better Bucking. In fact, I think this is the book that came out when we did in 2007 when we did my I should find our old podcast and put it up.
I'm going to look some stuff up when I get home.
Now I really want to know. So tell me about this book. It's a bestseller.
Yeah.
Over 100 exciting point-to-play positions to spice up your lovemaking.
What I wanted to do is I wanted a sex position guide that was different than all the rest that was out there. Definitely not the old Kama Sutra.
2007 it came out. Sorry, not trying to prove anything here, but I do know that.
I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do. Oh, thank you, sweetie.
So beautiful.
You
These
are
pictures
too.
beautiful. Thank you.
Beautiful as ever.
So this book, Ride 'em Cowgirl, Sex. So do you think it's because women? There's just kind of a few positions that we know about, and you kind of enhance here. Like, here's some other things you can do.
Well, it's also like, what do you do when you're in a position? I used to ask, you talk to a guy friend, and they'll say, oh, she was a dead fish. And then another girl's like, oh, my gosh, she blew my mind. She was the best. I'm like, well, what makes it different?
Exactly. I always want to know.
So I wanted to get to the bottom of it and provide a resource that wasn't just over 100 different position ideas, but what makes you a good lover when you're in the position. That makes it that much better. And I speak to cowgirls and cowboys in each chapter separately. So I have a chapter on positions that hit the G-spot, for example. And I'm describing in there to a woman, here's what you should do when you're in the position to assist and where to focus and how to position your body. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, how do I talk to guys and tell them what they're supposed to do, which is totally different instructions. Here's where you should put your leg. Here's where you need to focus. Here's where you have to thrust. And so each chapter is based on a position style or an orgasm style. So there's G-spot, positions for the clitoris. I even go into positions for pregnant women. There's a whole chapter on that.
That's great. That's so important because
really great
I get so many emails when people are like, what do we do? How do we have sex now that she's pregnant?
You just roll over.
Right, exactly. So what is one of the best pregnant positions?
Well, spooning for sure.
Okay.
The first several months you'll be fine because you're not that big yet. But when you roll to your side, you can stay comfortable and relaxed as the woman, so you don't have to use any strength to be in any particular positions. And it's also great because men don't go as deep. Right. Inside when you're in a spooning position. So that's, and he can do the reach around and you lift your little knee upward.
Right.
And you're ready to go to receive some clitoral stimulation at the same time.
Okay.
So that one's one of the best.
That's great. So any other, what's your favorite position in here if you had to pick one? And the most popular? What's one that we could describe that people haven't heard of maybe?
Oh gosh, I know,
it's so hard that, hey Anderson, I see some phones ringing. How do you feel about that? I just wanted to tell you that. I saw like 4 lines. Oh, we are taking calls. So people, if you're, I don't know where you are, 9 o'clock Thursday nights, Pacific Standard Time, you can now call in and ask questions. It's 1-800-LOVE-191 from 9 to 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. You can actually call up, talk to us live.
I know my favorite one.
Okay, go.
It's called the Wish Boner.
The Wish Boner. Oh my God, I love it. I want a T-shirt. Yeah, it says
here's
that.
this picture here. She arches her back to angle her hips down. He arches his back to offer his pubic region. Both grind to a fantastic finish. Ooh. So is that one on the bottom right?
Uh-huh.
She's on her back. He's on his knees, spreading her legs.
The Wish Boner. I want to make a wish on that boner.
And it's nice when he holds your ankles like that. It's pretty erotic. It's almost like a little 50 Shades of Grey going on, but with his hands.
So what do you think about the whole 50 Shades of Grey movement?
The whole phenomenon. I think it's cool. It's awesome that it really helped America open their eyes, whether it's erotica literature or sex toy industry, whatever it is that's going to help just continue the path that we're on.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been doing this for almost 13 years now. And it's been an amazing journey to see where the industry has gone, not just from sex toys, but sex education and all the educators that are out there now and sex therapists, and people are talking about sex more and opening up, and it's mainstream. I think it's great, and I've been loving to see such big changes, in front of my eyes as I'm in the midst of it too.
Exactly. I think so too, and I tell guys too, if your partner's reading it, or maybe the guy should take a read, take a peek at it, because you could also learn a lot about what's getting her all hot and bothered too.
Yeah. A lot, and a lot of guys
read the whole thing.
They're coming out more. I mean, in the past, a lot of guys, men have egos.
Yeah.
Often it's hard to talk to them because they don't want to be wrong or be told to do something different. So women are scared to tell men what they want. So I think it would be really important for men to kind of just humble themselves, certain men, and make it easy and accessible for their woman to talk to them about what they want, and not to make them feel like he would be insulted or he'd get upset,
or he would judge her.
Yeah, or I can't do anything right, and get upset. It's like
there's a way to talk to a man about it too.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be like, that was, it's, I always feel like it's the sandwich. I love when you do that. And it would be great if you would do more of this, or we could try this.
And it's often
rather than
easier
criticism.
outside the bedroom.
Right.
John's a great communicator. Like,
Yeah?
I've never been with a man who's been so open and communicative.
How did you guys meet?
We met through a mutual friend in passing.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, because I have a question for you, Sadie, because you're actually like the only other person that probably gets asked this question as much as I do, because now it's becoming like every day, probably because I'm single, always. But people are like, are guys intimidated to date you? Do you get asked that all the time? They're like, well, how do guys, when they hear what you do for a living, like, have you found that to be?
Yeah.
Because when I first started out, I was like, no, I'm Emily. I worked in politics. But now it's been 8 years. Okay, yeah, I can see that they might be. So, yeah, have you found that?
Yep. Yeah, I got asked that a lot. And a lot of guys are intimidated.
Yeah. And those aren't the ones you want to be with, I feel.
Not usually, especially when you're a confident woman and you have a business and you're fearless. You need a guy that's going to compliment you.
Exactly.
And be able to support that and have his thing as well. But I think...
What? You know what's funny though, Sadie? I can't remember this. Okay, sorry, John, boyfriend, to say this, but it's funny because we did both live in San Francisco for a long time, which I miss dearly. But there was like 2 guys, and I don't know if I told you this, that I went out with, and I can't even remember who it was now, but they both dated you as well. And I think it was like once or twice. Like, it wasn't like they dated you, but they went out with me.
I remember that.
And I was like, interesting. And then it's like, pause. Okay, how is that? I mean, I guess we kind of look alike. We're both dark hair, but we both have sex. I don't think we want to say his name, but we can talk after. But but it was just funny, or maybe it was even 3. It was like a weird. I was like, oh, you dated both of us. Interesting. I don't even know if I don't think
they
either
like
one
the San Francisco petite brunette sex experts.
Exactly.
Yeah, they found us.
I thought that was very funny. I'm like, oh yeah, of course you dated Sadie. Yeah.
Then I'd have those guys that would say, oh, you do that? Oh, I could show you a thing or two.
Yeah.
So you get the cocky ones that are like, oh yeah, I'll take you on.
Exactly. But do you feel like, I always tell guys, I'm like, it's not like, because when people ask me this, are guys into men and women ask me this all the time, and I'm like, well, it's not like I'm sitting there in the bedroom with a bullhorn saying to the left, to the left, to the right. But do you feel that since you have become, well, it sounds like your whole life you've been a sex expert. My path was very different than yours, because like I never had orgasms, didn't know what I was doing. Like when I was 19, I had never had one.
Wow. Had you tried?
No, it hadn't even occurred to me to masturbate. Like I never even heard of
really?
it, never thought about it. Yeah, it's really weird. Like most women eventually just are like, oh, let me. But I think that my growing up was I had this tumultuous childhood. I just have to think. I don't know, somehow it ties in, because I don't know how else I was so blind to it. But I think I lived in a lot of, I don't know, anxiety, fear, craziness. That I just didn't have time. I didn't do it. So I had to like learn later in life, than most, 1920, that I should, how to do it. And actually, my mom gave me some tips. My friends were all giving me tips.
And then how did you finally discover orgasm?
How did I finally discover? It was actually with a vibrator.
Okay.
And then I realized how to do it on my own. But it was just like, it wasn't happening through, and I had sex. It just wasn't. And I was bummed that it wasn't happening through intercourse. And then I realized, like we tell everyone, I went through this whole journey that it had to be through.
See, it's so common. Like your story is so common. And it's no wonder, because when we grow up, we're not taught about sex. They don't teach it in school. They teach you about STDs and birth control and things like that. But where do you ever learn about giving pleasure and receiving pleasure and feeling okay about it? Never.
Never,
and,
ever,
and
anywhere.
on the flip side, you're actually put down for being curious about it, because a lot of people grew up with negative messaging, whether it's religion or their parents or old school in your society. And so people grow up not only just not knowing, but feeling shame and fearful about it. Like, no, I'm not even going to try, even if I am curious.
Exactly.
Or if they're curious and they do try, they feel so guilty. Really screws people up.
Exactly. Well, you and I, you're half Jewish, right?
Yeah, Jewish and Chinese.
Jewish
so
and Chinese.
I'm a Jew.
A Jew. I love it. Because I feel like in the Jewish religion, there's not a lot of hang-ups around it, really. Although I didn't
Not like other religions.
Not like other ones, but I'm saying it's like all the sex experts I know, I feel like they're all Jewish. It's funny in the world. But a lot of other religions, yes, there's a lot of like stigma and guilt. And if you have that, I say go to a therapist, work it out, because you don't carry it around with you for the rest of your life, because it could continue to impact.
Yeah, it's all a choice. It's like anything. It's like you control your own thoughts, you control your destiny, and what you're going to choose to feel and think. And just because you had negative messaging in the past and you've since learned different, and your friends are doing it, and you're reading these great books, and you're listening to Sex with Emily, it's like people are curious. It's okay for you to let that baggage and let it go and leave it behind you.
Let it go. It's
and choose a new path for your sexuality.
You can always change it around, no matter how old you are, what age you're at, how much sex you've had. You can always try something a little different and try it. Yeah, try to let go, change your attitudes, and talk about it. Don't keep it all inside. It's okay to talk about it with your partner and be like, well, I actually have some of the issues that came up. And
what's so neat is when you do talk about it more with your partner, you always end up a lot of times pleasantly surprised at how the conversation opens up. Like you might just decide, okay, I'm going to talk to my lover about this, and I haven't before, and then all of a sudden he shares something with you back that you never knew, and then you got more comfortable to open up more, and then all of a sudden it could be this whole great experience where it's enlightening, and
Exactly.
your life can change.
Your life can change, your relationship can change, and your sex life can go through the stratosphere. I mean, really, if you start talking, communication is a lubrication. It will get you guys going. So let's move into Tickle My Tush.
All right.
And I actually wrote something. I forgot about this because it was a few years ago. But so first of all, the book is Dr. Sadie Allison's Tickle My Tush, Mild to Wild Analplay Adventures for Everybooty.
And Everybooty means...
Everybooty.
Meaning women and men.
Exactly.
Because all booties are created equal.
Exactly. All booties. And I mean, I almost need you to say this because I say it so many times that like a lot of men have issues around straight men. Yep. And gay men too. Not all gay men like their anus penetrated, but a lot of straight men can get a lot of pleasure from it.
That's
and they
right.
don't realize it because they think there's like a stigma. They can't imagine it could feel good. So your book really breaks that down and explains like how to ease into it. But
yeah,
a lot of men read my quote here. Because I hadn't read it.
Your
I
quote.
endorsed the book because I love that you were writing an anal sex book because I'm like, this is so important. It pisses me off that people don't have more information. They do it wrong. They have bad anal sex. Oh, we were drunk one night. My boyfriend sucked it in. And there was no lube, and I'm never doing it again.
Exactly.
And it's like people they post-traumatic anal experiences, and this book will help people.
It's dangerous too.
It is dangerous. So I said, Dr. Sadie, I'm reading my quote, demystifies a taboo subject with humor, eloquence, and a playful ease that leaves no vital information behind. That was me. I loved it, Sadie, that you do this.
Thank you.
So it's great. Okay, so and people can buy this. They get good vibes on your website as well. Okay, so what's the mild and what's the wild that you refer to in the book?
Okay. Well, the mild is the whole butt is an erogenous zone. Let me just back it up there. No pun intended.
Right. I know. It's so hard not to use puns in our
when
business.
people think of anal sex, they think about penetration and the anus. But really, if you back it up, the whole butt is an erogenous zone that too often is ignored because you're staying away from the anus. But really, there's massage. And there's a couple techniques I really like. Like, not only do you want to massage the butt cheeks and the glutes, but then you can get into the butt crack and you put lube up and down the butt crack and you just butt crap.
Yeah,
butt crap.
That comes later or not. Yeah,
we call that color.
Right.
A little bit of color.
Right.
But I have this technique in Tickle My Tush, and it's called the thumb roller. So you can put lube over his anus and his butt crack and just do this gently. I'm showing Emily the technique here.
You know what? We're going to do a little video after, and we're going to show this.
Thumb roller?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and then there's the
Just
butt.
a 2-minute video.
There's the butt buffer, which is just doing this gently right on the anus. So when I say
men and women can do this to each other.
Totally.
Right.
And so when I say mild, what I'm saying is you don't have to go inside. You don't have to go there or all the way.
Right.
There's a lot of other things you can do that's topical and on the surface that feels great.
Exactly.
And then I have a chapter all about finger play. And there's a section called finger padding, where basically you take the pad of your fingertip and you use that to gently push in, but you're not pushing your whole finger in. You're just giving a little bit of pressure and sensation. And if you do that while you're giving him oral sex, it's gonna knock his socks off.
Right, exactly. And he might. But do you find though that some men who have fears around their anus could jolt them? Or like, is she going in? But you're right. Stay on the. I think these are great. Like, slow it down tips. Don't go right in for it. Like
it can jolt him if you lay it on him pretty quickly. But it might be okay to say something. So you want to wait for the right moment. You know, so if you're giving him oral sex or you've had sex for a little while and then you're moving things around, you can just gently move your hand down there slowly so he knows what's going on, so you don't startle him. Mm-hmm. Or you can even say, honey, do you mind if I give you a little butt play? I promise I won't go in.
Exactly. That's good. And then you can get to see that, that feels good. And then it has them anticipating, what could come next.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's good to just kind of slip it in slowly when you're in the heat of things. And he might just say, okay, it's happening. And oh my God, that does feel good.
Right. The finger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just on the surface though.
I like it.
Finger
I like
padding.
all these little steps. Like start, one
there's
time
finger
when you're
padding,
together.
and then there's finger tipping.
Okay.
Where you just go in up to the first knuckle. So it's like maybe half an inch, and don't go any further. And in the book, I have like 6 different tips and techniques on what to do when you're finger tipping, and that doesn't hurt. I mean, that's little compared to other big things.
Right. Exactly.
That can happen.
Exactly. And these are same for men too with women, because I think a lot of men, it's like their dream. we got married now. Maybe she'll have anal sex with me. Or why won't my girlfriend have anal sex? We get those calls all the time. So I think the reason why this book is so important and so great, because you are giving tips to people. It's like, if that's something you really want to do, and she might want to, but she has fears because perhaps she had a bad experience or what she hears from her friends. But if you start out slow, it could take you a month. It could take you a few months in your relationship, whatever it is. And you make it so she can realize the evolving pleasure from just the touch. And then it could build into anal sex, but don't just try to go right for the anal sex.
That's what's so important about the book, is I wanted to have a resource for people that would teach them how to do it safely, comfortably, and pleasurably. Because it's not like the vagina, which is very elastic, and you can just jump right in and start having intercourse if you choose. But with the anus, it's very, very different. And it's very delicate, the skin, the tissue, the technique, how slow you need to go. And that's where people make mistakes and hurt women because they're not doing it right.
Exactly.
And so you want to be careful. And both people need to know how to do this. It's not intuitive. You don't know.
Exactly. You really don't know. You tense up. So what are your tips for first-time anal sex?
Okay, so safe sex. Use condoms unless you're in a monogamous relationship. Warm-up is so important. It's like, and porn is not your teacher, okay? Because porn is great, but it's meant to be visually stimulating and fast. And believe me, those girls are warmed up before they jump into the scene and start getting filmed.
I know. No one understands that.
So
guys don't understand
guys
that.
need to do the opposite of what they see. You need to slow it down. There's a saying I like, the slower you go, the faster you get there.
Right, it's true.
So she really needs to be warmed up. So I always recommend have intercourse for a while. She should have an orgasm or two in the session. Be playing with each other for like a half an hour, because then what happens is all the blood rushes down to her erogenous areas. So her whole area is engorged from her vulva, her butt, her anus, the whole area. And then all of a sudden she's more ready and warmed up and heated up and stimulated. So the whole Emily's like, her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. I think she's shaking.
Yes.
So warm up is so important. Communication is an absolute must-have with this. You need to, and it's all about safety because you're dealing with such a delicate area. You have to know. So if you're starting to go in, for example, very slowly, stop and say, honey, how does that feel? Is that okay? Can I go a little further? Do you want me to slow down? And just keep that dialogue going back and forth the whole time until you guys learn each other and how you do it. But at the first few times, you got to really make sure you understand what's good and what's not. And again, everyone's different.
Right.
So that's critical. And lubrication.
Lubrication is so important.
The anus doesn't produce lube the way the vagina does.
You got to use lubrication.
You have to use it. You can use silicone or water-based.
Right.
But just know if you're using water-based, you might want to reapply it more frequently because it absorbs into the body.
Mm-hmm. And then women have to relax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Relax your anus. Because it's natural to tense up, to want to tense up because you're scared or you're nervous. So just breathe. Just breathe.
I feel like we just
I know. I
hit
feel
some
like,
milestones
here.
here.
Look how peaceful anal sex can be, people. You're all thinking it's all rough and crazy. We're telling you here.
It could be so erotic.
I know.
It's like that forbidden zone. And that's why men like it so much.
Exactly.
But for a woman, if you can get away from your fears and approach it safely and responsibly in a way where you can have pleasure because you're doing it right, it can be really profound. And a lot of women really enjoy a little butt play when they're going to have an orgasm too, because it just enhances the whole thing.
Exactly. And a lot of women, I had some porn stars on the show last week, were saying that she always orgasms when she has anal sex every time. A lot of women can do that. So you never know what's going to happen. So what about women pleasuring the male prostate? The male G-spot, as they call it too. What about that? So you're, let's say you're with a guy and he's like, no way, don't come near there. It's going to make me, I'm not gay. They've never had any experience with it.
Well, if he's like exit only, no, you can't talk someone into it, and it's not for everybody.
Right.
And, about the gay thing, if you're a hetero man and you're enjoying some butt play with your woman, you're not gay.
You're not gay. There's not a penis in your mouth right now.
It's not the sexual activity that makes you gay. It's the gender and who you're with.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're with another man, then yes.
All right. Exactly. So how would you tell people to start with that? Like a prostate massage or?
Well, if he's into exploring it.
Let's say he's down.
Yeah, he's okay with a finger.
Totally. He's
then
down with it.
The first thing to know is where it's located, which is almost exactly where the G-spot is in a woman, which is really neat. And I have a diagram in Tickle My Tush. I don't know if you saw it. I'm going to tell you what page it's on. But I thought it would be helpful to have an illustration that has a picture of a G-spot and a finger touching it right next to a finger touching a man's prostate.
Okay. We'll find it here.
And it is on page 86.
Okay.
In Tickle My Tush.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So both of those bodies.
I love this. This is so great.
It's helpful. Mm-hmm. So it's a couple inches inside his anus. So if he's laying on his back and you're on your knees between his legs and you gently slide your finger into his anus, you go in a couple inches. With lube, absolutely. And you push upward towards his belly button, just like you would looking for the G-spot. Mm-hmm. So again, this is where communication comes in. And he might not be as familiar with what to feel for as well, so it's going to take a lot of exploring and have fun. And it's like the size of a pea, but it can vary between men. And you want to push gently. And one of the tips I give is as if you were going to rub your eye and push on your eyeball.
Okay.
Not any harder than that to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Some men like it harder and faster, so that's where you want to communicate. But playing it safe, start small.
Okay. Got it. And what about
Start
anal
slow.
toys?
Toys. The toy market has changed so
Huge.
much. Yeah.
I know.
It's incredible.
Because there are some great anal toys, good vibrations. Go to sexwithemily.com/good vibes to check them out. Use coupon code Emily, you get 20% off. But there are some fun, men and women might like it, like butt plugs, or are there any like that
Butt
you
plugs
like?
are great. I think the prostate massagers of today are wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in these really great materials that are very sturdy and wash well and non-porous. And they have toys now where you can put it inside. It's curved, kind of like a G-spot toy,
right.
but it's anatomically correct for a man's body.
I love that.
Yeah, and you can put it inside of him. It's non-vibrating, and you make love with it inside of him. And while he's moving, the muscles inside his body cause the toy to gently move back and forth, and it rubs his prostate for him while he's making love to you. That's the Aneros.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the Aneros.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aneros is great. That is a great toy. I do have one of those. Then I should probably whip it out. I know. Well, I mean, don't you get everything? So I get so many toys. I might have a garage filled with toys. And
friends like coming over, huh?
Yeah, all my friends. They do. They literally come over and they always leave with a bag of tricks. So do you have a favorite toy that you like? Or do you use toys? Or?
I do. I like the Erosilator.
Oh, you know what? I've never... Jamie Waxman, you know
Dr.
Jamie,
Ruth,
she's a co-author. We wrote a book together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's awesome.
And she's always talks about it. I've still to this day, I've got to write this down. I should get one.
It's great because it's not like it doesn't vibrate, it erosilates. So it's similar. Right. But it's faster little mini circles or something versus just a ball bearing that moves back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's on my list.
And it's electric. So you're not dealing with batteries or dying batteries, and then it's weaker or anything. It's like, and it's got a nice long cord. I leave it right in my nightstand.
Right. Exactly. Better than the Hitachi. You like it better than the Hitachi. Right, exactly. Better than the Hitachi, though.
Oh yeah, totally. Hitachi's very powerful, too much. I wanted to tell you something else for the Tickle My Tush book. Getting into anal eroticism and just kind of getting into the mood. I thought that an erotic story would be nice to get people kind of... So I contacted Rachel Kramer-Bussell, who's one of the top erotic writers in the country, and she wrote a story for me about lovers who tried anal sex for the first time.
Oh, and that's in the book.
It's actually on TickleKitty.com.
Oh, okay.
And it's free.
Great.
It's right on the homepage.
That's amazing. She's a great writer.
She is
so much great writing. If people are looking for like another, you love 50 Shades of Grey, you want to check out some of Rachel Kramer-Bussell's.
And it's an awesome story. It's very titillating. It's exciting, and it's really sweet and tender. I'm like, wow, I want to. I kept reading, and I'm like, oh, I want to see when they get to the butt sex.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's great. So people could read that first to see like everyone tries it for the first time. Okay, so that's at TickleKitty.com. And everyone can check that out. Okay, so what else? And we have like a few more minutes here. Is there anything else that we need to know? I could talk to you for 16 hours.
16?
Sure. Like,
or
I want you
18?
to come back. I don't know, 18.
Oh, thanks. You were talking about toys. What I did with Tickle My Tush is I made a kit that made it easy for people to kind of get started. It's called the Couples Hot Tush Pleasure Kit.
Oh.
And it's on TickleKitty.com, and it comes with all you need to get started. It's
a great Christmas holiday gift.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go, honey. I'm going to start pressuring you for anal sex. I'm just going to buy you this tush kit.
And this is, it's for women and men. Both butts are. So it comes with a book that tells you how to do everything. It comes with a classic bullet vibrator, which I recommend for women to use on their clitoris the first time they're having anal sex, because it offsets the feelings. So you've got like the pressure and the anal sex part that can be quite overwhelming, but very invigorating. And then you use the bullet vibrator on your clitoris at the same time, and you have all that sensation of all the nerve endings on your clitoris. So that balances it out and makes it nicer for you.
Okay.
It also comes with the little zinger butt plug. that could be used in either butt.
Okay.
And you're ready to go.
I like it.
And
Make sure you
slippery
clean
kitty
them.
lube.
Of course.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
like
you
a
got
great
it all.
present.
It is.
Who
And
doesn't want it to be a stocking stuffer?
no pun intended.
No pun intended.
And you can use
really, there was no pun intended.
We have a Christmas offer. There's a coupon code for 20% off right now, and it's ho ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
20%
okay,
off at
TickleKitty.com. Everyone can check that out. That's really cool. Okay. I love that you're here. And I also just have to, I was just going to say, then they can check out your TED Talk, which was great. I was so proud of you.
Thank
I thought
you.
You were so poised. It was beautiful. It was a great message. So where can they find that on your website
That's
as well?
on the website, yep, TickleKitty.com. Fearless Giving.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an honor. I was really, excited to do it, and it really pushed me outside my comfort zone, and it was one of the hardest things I've done, but it was so fulfilling at the end of the day, and I did it.
And you nailed it. No
Thank
pun
you.
intended either.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that.
You did. I think you're awesome. And so everyone can check out your stuff at TickleKitty.com. And then there's one more thing I have to say here about my own product line, which is EmilyandTony.com. So I know you've heard me all say this on all my shows, that life is too short to have bad sex. I think Sadie and I can both agree to that. So I told my best friend Tony. He agreed. And as it turns out, Tony has one of the leading men and women's skincare lines called Anthony Brands. They sell it all over. And so we put our heads together. It came out with EmilyandTony.com, Emily and Tony. It's a premium and natural personal care line. And our products are multifunctional and designed to enhance your sexual experience. So we have the best, I have to say, massage oil candles that are like having 3 products in one, because they look like regular candles. Like I brought it over to my friend's house the other day, and she's little kids. I'm like, look at the candle. He's like 8, her son. She's like, don't take out the candle, thinking like a massage candle is going to look like a penis. Or I'm like, no, it looks like they're like beautiful candles from France. Like you can't tell. They make your home smell amazing. Like we have creme de vanilla and fougere.
I would love to try one. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I think I have one for you in my car, so we'll go out there and I'll give you one. But they're great moisturizers because they turn into they burn cooler. So you pour it on your lover's body, and it's all vegan coconut oil and soybean oil, and it turns into the most luxurious massage oil.
That sounds lovely.
It's warm. You put it on your partner.
Oh, honey, we're gonna have fun tonight.
But I use it like on my body as well. Like I use it in the morning, like as a moisturizer when I get out of the shower. So it's really great for that, and they're amazing for foreplay because if you just connect with your partner, give them a massage. So everyone check it out. EmilyandTony.com. Enter Emily20, and you get 20% off your first purchase. So you can improve your sex life now. So, Sadie, thank you. This has been great. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I want you to come back to LA and do this again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. It's so great to see you again.
I know,
it's been
you
too
too.
long.
I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. So check me out, Facebook, Twitter, everything, Sex with Emily, and email me, feedback at sexwithemily.com. Thanks for listening to the show. Was it good for you? Email me, feedback at sexwithemily.com. Do you want to last longer in bed? Promescent is the only FDA-approved treatment for premature ejaculation. 1 in 3 men suffer from premature ejaculation, but they don't have to. Go to promescent.com to get the desensitizing spray that will allow you to have the sex you deserve.